As we are in the great city of Orlando, how was it like working on the Back to the Future ride? A ride that I really miss, and I'm pretty bummed out that they actually took it out. But
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, it was so ahead of its time technologically that in a sense, the Back to the Future ride still exists. But with different, different car shapes and a different film. You know what I mean? But that's how ahead of its time it was. That I didn't understand what they were doing. Douglas Trumbull is the special effects wizard who was behind the special effects for the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick's movie. So he was in charge of the special effects of creating the Back to the Future ride. And it was really, it was a fascinating process for me. I'm not a big producer or whatever, but I'm interested in production, I'm interested in the technology, I was interested in the focal length of the lens that they had for the camera, for the dome. I know it's boring you guys, but let me tell you something. When you project a big piece of film onto a dome, think about it. All the lines will be bent, right? If it goes into a dome, the sides of buildings will be bent, street lights will be bent. So if you're making a model of Hill Valley that the camera must go through, all of the lines have to be bent so that when they're projected onto a curve, they appear as straight. So the fascinating thing, they built an entire model of going through Hill Valley that looked like it was a psychedelic, weird trip there. Because everything was curved. But it was in order that they show it into the dome, and you think it's real, and you're going through Hill Valley and everything. And that was only a tiny bit of the technological things that they were doing on that. So it was really interesting for me to do that. And and Chris Lloyd was a part of it. Chris and I are close. Chris is wonderful, so it was great to see him. And it was a lot of fun. But they had to come. I was on the ride very early. In fact, they were cutting together the film that would be the ride film. So literally, like any movie, they would show the dailies, the things we shot yesterday. And they would have black and white footage. Right, so they would show the footage, get in the car, program the car, and see what it would feel like. So I got in the car, they showed me some of the black and white footage with some of the rough estimates of the car. I got so sick. 30 seconds, I mean, it was really aggressive. I was like, that's okay, that's all right, thank you, I get it, I get what it's gonna do. Because when they first opened the ride, people were getting, so they had to calm the ride down. They had to make it smoother and just a little bit less, because they made it like, whoa! And people weren't liking that. But I'll tell you, I went to, and this is one of those crazy Hollywood things. They had a big party for kids of one of the charities for sick kids to come and go to Universal Studios. And I came there to meet the kids, take pictures with them and everything. But the ride was open. So they said, Tom, will you go on the ride with some of the kids? And I'm not the best roller coastery guy, So, okay, great. And it's sick kids, So I go on the ride, the whole thing. Da, 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 da. Oh, that was fun, Mr. Wilson. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. Teddy. Nice to meet you too. I swear, I get up, I come right off the ride. They go, Tom, Teddy and Jim didn't get to go on the first time. Come on, fellas. So I did the ride 3 times in a row. And by the end, I didn't feel good at all. People were like, thanks so much for coming. Leave me alone. I'm running this shows up. So that was my experience with the ride. But it was really fantastic. And it really, I know I bore you with some of the technological stories, but it really is, it's unusual kind of how ahead of its time for a theme park attraction it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, without like all computer mapping and everything.
That was
like,
done on film.
Yeah.
In my day, they made movies, mister! You kids with your computer phones! But it really... but it is true.
Yeah.
And I tried... The lady knows what I'm talking about. She feels the same way. But it's true, when you think about it, and I know, it really is that, it was harder when we were young, but the computer graphics and the advent of using computers in everything, in stunts, in someone falling from a building, and all of those things, it has revolutionized movie making in ways that no one really can imagine. Because only a few years ago, a guy had to jump off the building. You know what I mean? I mean, you had to build a model of the whole town and put a camera through it because you couldn't just like three-dimensional visualize seeing and go. That didn't, it didn't exist. So a lot of that work, I think, should come into more and even more respectful scrutiny of really excellent work of these teams of artists, all those rows of names that you see going by at the end of the movie. Those are all people working really hard.